Picture this. October 25th, 1415. A cold, rainy morning in northern France. A small, exhausted, and sick English army stands against a massive, confident French force, outnumbering them perhaps 6-1. The stage is set for a massacre. Yet what unfolded was one of the most stunning underdog victories in military history. The Battle of Agincourt. How did this happen? The answer lies in one man, King Henry V, a leader whose decisiveness forged a legendary victory from the jaws of certain defeat. Today, we're diving deep into the story of how Henry V's brilliant leadership, tactical genius, and a little help from the weather led his band of brothers to glory. Before the first arrow was loosed, the battle was already being won in the hearts and minds of the English soldiers. Henry V wasn't a king who commanded from a gilded tent miles away. He was on the front lines, walking among his men, sharing their hardships, and speaking to them not as a monarch but as a fellow soldier. His famous pre-battle speech, immortalized by Shakespeare, captured this spirit perfectly. He spoke of honor, of brotherhood, and of a glory that would be remembered forever. He told them that any man who shed his blood with him that day would be his brother. This wasn't just empty rhetoric. It was a powerful promise that transformed a weary, outnumbered army into a cohesive, motivated force, ready to fight and die for their king and for each other. This personal connection and shared sense of purpose instilled a level of morale and confidence that no amount of French numbers could easily break. Now let's talk tactics. Henry V was not just a charismatic leader, he was a shrewd and experienced military commander. He knew he couldn't win a head-on clash of knights. His ace in the hole was the English and Welsh longbowmen, the medieval equivalent of a machine gun corps. These weren't just peasant levies. They were highly trained specialists who could unleash a devastating storm of arrows. Henry's entire strategy was built around maximizing their effectiveness. He chose his ground carefully, positioning his army in a narrow gap between two dense forests. This created a natural funnel, preventing the vast French army from using its superior numbers to outflank him. The French knights would have no choice but to charge straight into a prepared killing zone. This battlefield organization was a masterstroke of defensive warfare, turning the terrain itself into a weapon. And then there was the weather. Days of relentless rain had turned the battlefield into a thick, clinging mud pit. For the English, who were mostly lightly armored archers and dismounted men-at-arms, this was an inconvenience. But for the French, it was a catastrophe. Their knights were encased in heavy plate armor and their horses were just as burdened. As they charged across the field, they became bogged down in the quagmire. The mud sucked at their feet, exhausted their horses, and turned their glorious, thundering charge into a slow, stumbling, and chaotic slog. Each step was a struggle, making them perfect slow-moving targets for the English longbows. The environment that Henry had so astutely chosen amplified the power of his archers and crippled the greatest strength of his enemy. With the French advance in disarray, Henry V ordered his archers to unleash hell. Imagine the sky darkening with thousands of armor-piercing arrows, raining down on the struggling French knights. The sheer volume and velocity were terrifying. The arrows could punch through weaker points in their plate armor, and even when they didn't penetrate, the impact could knock a man off his feet, leaving him helpless in the mud. Once the French ranks were broken and in chaos, the English archers dropped their bows, picked up swords, axes, and mallets, and charged into the fray alongside their men-at-arms. They were mobile, unencumbered by heavy armor, and swarmed the exhausted, trapped French knights. It was brutal, close-quarters combat where English discipline and battlefield organization proved superior to the disorganized and panicked French nobility. The result was a victory of staggering proportions. While English losses were in the hundreds, the French suffered thousands of casualties, including a significant portion of their nobility. The Battle of Agincourt wasn't just a military victory, it was a political earthquake. It shattered the prestige of the French aristocracy and dramatically shifted the balance of power in the 100 Years' War. Henry II's triumph allowed him to press his claim to the French throne with renewed vigor, leading to the Treaty of Troyes, which briefly made him the heir to France. The legend of Agincourt echoed through the centuries, a testament to what decisive leadership, clever strategy, and a determined army can achieve against seemingly impossible odds. It cemented Henry IV's reputation as one of England's greatest warrior kings. So what can we take away from this incredible story? The victory at Agincourt was a perfect storm of factors, but at its heart was the decisive leadership of Henry IV. He understood his army's strengths and his enemy's weaknesses. He chose the battlefield with intelligence, turning the environment into an ally. Most importantly, he inspired his men to believe in themselves and their cause, transforming fear into courage and desperation into a fierce determination to win. The tale of Henry V and his band of brothers at Agincourt remains a powerful lesson in leadership, showing how a clear vision and unwavering resolve can lead to glory, even when facing the most daunting of challenges. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back to the muddy fields of Agincourt. If you enjoyed this dive into military history, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more stories of great battles and legendary leaders. Let me know in the comments what other historical events you'd like to see covered. Until next time, stay curious,